Hello everyone. Today's class will be studying about path vector routing. In the earlier class, we had gone through the distance vector routing and also link state routing. These both algorithms are based on the least cost goal. However, there are instances where this goal is not the priority. For example, assume that there are some routers in the internet that a sender wants to prevent its packets from going through. Or in other words, the least cost goal applied by the link state and the distance vector routing does not allow a sender to apply specific policies to the route a packet may take. To respond to these demands, a third routing algorithm called path vector routing has been devised. Here, main goal of the routing is, as you can see, main goal of the routing here in the path vector is reachability. Here the best route is determined by source using the policy it imposes on the route. Here the source can control the path. In this, path from the source to all the destinations is determined by the best spanning tree. And it has the spanning trees already you have seen. Spanning tree is the tree which is determined by the source when it uses some policies. So in the case if there are more than one route to the one route from source to destination, source can choose the route that meets its policy the best. And one of the common policy uses here in the case of path vector routing is using minimum number of nodes to be visited. So whenever we select a path, we just see that it visits minimum number of nodes. And another common policy is to avoid some node as a middle node. Like if it is mentioned like this node should not be in the path, then that node will be avoided as a middle node in the route. So we can see in the figure here, this is a small example where there is a small internet with 5 nodes A, B, C, D, E, where each and every source has created its own spanning tree. You can see that A's, B's, C's, D's, E's spanning tree that meets its policies. Here the policy imposed is the minimum number of nodes to reach the destination. So the spanning tree selected by A and E is such that the communication does not pass through D. The spanning tree selected by B is such that the communication does not pass through C. The spanning tree selected by the C is such that the communication does not pass through D. Similarly, in the case of D, does not pass through C. In the case of E, does not pass through D. Something like that. So, by considering minimum number of nodes and also here spanning trees are selected in such a way that communication does not pass through one of the router. Considering these policies, the spanning trees are constructed here in the path vector routing. And to create the spanning trees, path vector routing, as I have already told, it is an asynchronous and distributed routing algorithm. Path vector routing algorithm is a asynchronous and distributed routing algorithm. Asynchronous in the sense the spanning trees are not created at the same time. The spanning trees are made gradually or asynchronously by each node whenever that node is booted. Whenever that particular node A, B, C, D is booted, it creates the path vector based on the information it can obtain about its immediate neighbor. A node sends a greeting messages to the immediate neighbors to collect following piece of information. You can see here in this figure which shows all the path vectors which are created. So you can see A, B, C, D, E with respect to these, which are the path vectors created. So each node after creation of the initial path vector sends, you can see the arrows here, it sends it to all the immediate neighbors. So it will be sent to all the immediate neighbors, and each node receives the path vector from the neighbor and updates its path vector. As we have seen the distance vectors, then we had seen the link state database, here we have a path vector. And here also it takes the information from the neighbor and updates it. Here also for the path vector, equation similar to Bellman-Ford has used, applying its own policy, okay, which will be seen later. Here we can see that with respect to A, just tell that it is to reach B, it has to follow the path from A to B. Similarly, at B, we can see that to reach C, it can be from B to C. To reach D, it can be from B to D. To reach A, it can be from B to A. That is a path. Similarly, from C, to reach B, it is C to B. To E, it is C to E. To D, it is C to D. Similarly, at E, it is E to C, E to D. And at D, it is D to B, D to C, D to E. So these are the following paths, and these are update. Now we can use an equation also to update these path vectors. It is same as the Bellman-Ford equation, which tells that path of xy will be taken as the best route, where it can be the path of xy or it can be some x plus path of vy. So here plus is to add x to the beginning of the path. Let us see with the example here. If path v to y includes x, that path is discarded to avoid looping the path. X does not want to visit itself when it selects a path to y. That is what is with respect to x and y. Now here you can see that path vector of node C after two events. So you can see two figures here. First is the event 1, where node C receives a copy of B's vector, because of which it improves its vector. C will be updated. So what happens when it receives B's vector? It will get to know that here through B from C we have a path to A that will be updated. So initially in the old C, as we can see here, old C, A is empty. So from C, you can see in the previous figure here, from C we have a connection to E and B, but not to A. So what it does is, once it gets the B's vector, it can see that there is a path to A. So it is made from C to B, then A. So that will be updated. Next, second event, we can see that C receives a copy of D's vector. When it gets a D's vector, it will get to know that here also we have the old C, where we have CBA, CBC, CD and C. Now, here what is done is the best of C and C plus D is considered. So because of which here the new C and the old C are same, because through D there is no better path to reach any other node, because it is D to B, D to C, D to E. Old C is already CBA, then C to B, C to D, C to E. So all very direct. So there is no path. So it is kept as it is. So C receives a copy, but which does not change its vector. Vector for node C after the first event is stabilized and serves as its forwarding table. That is about updating the path vector. So remember one example and just show that how it is getting updated with respect to the path. That is a path vector. Next is about the unicast routing protocols. Now we have seen the distance vector algorithm, Then Dijkstra algorithm, the link state algorithm which we had studied in the last class, which is class 7, is also said to be the Dijkstra algorithm, based on which there is a lab program for distance vector as well as Dijkstra algorithm. And next was a path vector routing. Now based on all the three routing algorithm, there are unicast routing protocols. So we discussed three common protocols used in the internet. One is said to be the routing information protocol, which is based on the distance vector algorithm. Open shortest path first, which is based on the link state algorithm. Border gateway protocol, which is based on the path vector algorithm. So these are the different protocols which are used in the internet. So which we'll be studying in the next subsequent classes. Now, before studying all this, these are the protocols which are used in the internet. Before studying all this, let us understand the structure of today's internet. I guess we had already studied in module 1 related to this. We had studied a similar figure with the backbone, provider network, customer network, all this. Let us glance at once again. Here we can see that the internet has changed from a tree-like structure with a single bone to a multi-backbone structure which is run by different private corporations today. Although it is difficult to give a general view of internet, we can say that internet has a structure similar to this. So this is the internet structure, which is a multi-backbone structure run by different private corporations, which provides a global connectivity, where we can see a backbone at the center, which are connected by peering points, which allows the connection between the backbones. At a lower level, we can see some provider networks which uses the backbone and for global connectivity as well as to provide services to the service to internet to the customers. Finally, there are some customer networks which use the services provided by these provider networks. All these things was discussed in the module 1. Any of these three entities, we can call it as internet service providers or ISPs, which provide internet services to the customers. So the same thing, the backbone, provider network or customer network can be called as the internet service providers. So several backbones run by private communication companies provide global connectivity. Backbones are connected by peering points, which allows the connectivity between the backbones, and provider networks use backbones for the global connectivity and provide services to the customers. Customer networks use services provided by provider networks. Now, let us discuss something about hierarchical routing because before moving on to the autonomous system. Internet is made of large number of networks and there are many different routers. There are two problems here. One is scalability and second is administrative issues. Size of the forwarding table becomes huge if the destination is very far. It becomes time consuming. Updating creates huge amount of traffic. And also there are some administrative issues, like as we have seen in the earlier figure, each internet service provider is run by administrative authority. Destination needs to have a control over this. Here consider each internet service provider which we have seen, like ISPs, provider networks, customer networks, backbones, all those. We can consider those as autonomous systems. So each autonomous systems can run a routing protocol. Routing in the internet cannot be done using a single protocol for two reasons. One is the scalability problem and the administrative issue. So we use hierarchical routing. So because of the scalability as well as administrative issues, we go for a hierarchical routing. Here Each internet service provider is considered as an autonomous system. Each autonomous system runs the routing protocol that meets its demands. So, and it's referred as intra autonomous system routing protocol. To glue all the autonomous systems together, and the routing protocol runs in each autonomous system is intra-autonomous system, which is intra-domain, interior gateway, all that. Next is the global internet runs a global protocol to glue all autonomous system together, and it is referred as inter-autonomous system routing protocol, or it is inter-domain or exterior gateway. So each autonomous system is given ASN, one autonomous number by the ICANN. So each ASN is a 16-bit unsigned integer which is used to uniquely identify or define an autonomous system. These are categorized according to the way they are connected to the other autonomous systems. Like there are three types: the stub autonomous system, multi-homed autonomous system, and transient autonomous system. Stub autonomous system, only one connection to another autonomous system. The data traffic can be initiated, terminated in the stub autonomous system. The data cannot pass through it. Here, which is said to be the customer network. You can see here in the previous figure, customer network was the last one. Here you can see that, which is said to be the stub autonomous system. It can be initiated or terminated in a stub autonomous system, but the data cannot pass through it. That means there are no other networks at a lower level still than that. Next, we have something like a multi-homed autonomous system. These can have more than one connection to the other autonomous system, but these does not allow the data traffic to pass through it. These are also customer autonomous systems. Next, we have the transient autonomous system. These are connected to more than one other autonomous system and allows the traffic to pass through it. These are provider networks or the backbone networks. So this is about the internet hierarchical routing, and also we have seen about the different types of autonomous systems. So in this class we had discussed about the path vector routing. So let us glance a bit. In the path vector routing, what is done is this uses some policies here to route a packet. So here least cost goal is not applied. Reachability is the your main aim. So here what is done is, first each source creates a spanning tree to make the policy. The policy can be like the minimum number of nodes to reach a destination, or it can be like the communication should not pass through this router, something like that. Now if there are 5 nodes here, a spanning tree here, what it tells us, the communication does not pass through D. All those are considered to be the policies. Once it is done, once a spanning tree is constructed, after that the path vectors are written here. So in the path vectors we can see the paths will be updated and it will be transferred in between the neighbors, immediate neighbors. And in case if there is no direct path, using the intermediate node, the path will be updated. So which you can see it in the example here. So here, to reach from C to A, there is no direct path, but using B, there can be a path created from C to A, that is from C to B, then B to A. That is nothing but achieving, it is using this equation similar to a Bellman-Ford equation, where we consider that it is the path is obtained by the best path, which is by, it can be by adding some amount to the beginning of the path. Okay, so similarly here also with respect to D, but the path, even after considering D, it is not best, because even otherwise with the original path only, it was all the destinations were reached, and also there were minimum number of nodes. That was about the path vector. Next, we just the introduction was given about the internet. In the next class, we study about routing information protocol, open shortest path first, and the border gateway protocol, which are based on the different algorithms. So internet structure was discussed, and also it was discussed about the which is a stub autonomous system, which is a multi-homed, and also which is the transient. So autonomous system is nothing but each, in the hierarchical routing, each internet service provider, it can be the backbone, the provider network, or a customer network, is considered as autonomous system, which runs a routing protocol, which is said to be intra autonomous system routing protocol. And if the global internet runs a routing protocol which glues all the autonomous system, it is said to be inter AS routing protocol. So here there can be three types. One is the stub AS, then is the multi-home, then is the transient. In the stub autonomous system, only one connection to another. The data traffic can be either initiated or terminated, but data cannot be passed through, which is at the lower level, which is customer network. Multi-homed also, here it can have more than one connection to other autonomous system, but it does not allow the data traffic to pass through it. These are also the customer autonomous systems. And the transient here, these are connected to more than one other autonomous system, and which allows the traffic to pass through it. Those are the provider networks and the backbone. So in the next class, we'll be studying about the routing information protocol. The routing information protocol is the most widely used. It is an intra-domain routing protocol which works based on the distance vector routing algorithm. So it is normally used in the small autonomous system. So in the next class, we'll be going through it. How do we calculate the hop counts here? It will be just with respect to the number of networks a packet need to travel from the source to the destination. In that way, the cost will be defined as the number of hops. Like from R3 to reach the network, reach the destination, one network or one subnet. From R2, there are two networks. From R1, there are three networks. So those are said to be hops. Next, also we see about the forwarding table. How can we write the forwarding table in with respect to those which we had discussed in the earlier slide, how the cost is written, and also we see about RIP message format, and by taking an example, it is explained how the routing information protocol is used to construct, which is very important. Example of the autonomous system. Then we have a open shortest path first, and also the border gateway protocol in this module. Thank you.